My name is Senator Ihenyen, and if you're wondering if I'm a senator of the Republic, please call the kidnappers off. My real name is Senator. Uh, I'm the lead partner at Infusion Lawyers, the law firm, and the the immediate president of the Stakeholders in Blockchain Technology Association. I'm Siban. Today, we'll be talking about the implications of Nigeria's national blockchain policy on the growth of Web3 ecosystems. Interestingly, what never happened before happened in Nigeria this year when the federal government of Nigeria decided that it was time for Nigeria to have a direction as far as blockchain adoption is concerned. And for the first time, we had a federal Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy working closely with the National Information Technology Development Agency, NITSA, develop what is called the National Blockchain Policy. I was the secretary of, general secretary of CBAN at the time when this national policy was being developed. Nigeria now has a policy direction as far as innovation, adoption, regulation of blockchain is concerned. Quickly, just for context, many times when we talk about Web3, blockchain, cryptocurrencies, sometimes we miss the context. And I think this is why a lot of people would not see things from how Eric Annan has just painted it. We think this is just something P2P, blah, 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 and off you go. Now, look at this very closely. We would say that we are in a data-driven economy, but I think that we take that for granted a lot. We don't really understand what it means. We think it's become a cliche. In a data-driven economy, data is king. And if you're talking about data, from the centuries long ago, we've had data being stored in different ways. So when you talk about blockchain technology, you talk about Web3, decentralization. It's basically about how data is being stored now. This is the evolution of data. So when we've moved away from double entry accounting, we've moved into Web 1.0, the 2.0 as well, with cloud storage and all that, social media, and now decentralized records. Having that in mind, guys, when we say that it is time for us to have a national blockchain policy, it's also because we understand that in the digital economy, there is the 3Ds, I call them 3Ds, of the digital economy. We talk about digitization, talk about digitalization, and talk about decentralization. These are the 3Ds. Way back from when fintech started evolving in the 50s, it started with digitization. But we've moved away from there and we talk about new business models. Today, talk about MTN having Mono, a fintech platform. Today, it doesn't matter who you are, where you are. You are WeChat, you are Twitter, and you're already talking about how to enable payments on Twitter as well. This is digitalization. But here, we are here to talk more about decentralization, which takes us to Web 3.0. Let's not get it wrong. When it comes to Web 3.0, it's not all about the blockchain. Web 3.0 is going to be combining various emerging technologies, including artificial intelligence, including virtual reality. Talk about the metaverse and the rest of them. But we need to appreciate where we are coming from and where we are now. This doesn't mean that this doesn't exist anymore. They're still there. They still play. But we are fast moving into a decentralized world. And that is why Nigeria, as Africa's biggest economy, as the most populous black nation in the world, believes that it has to show some leadership when it comes to blockchain adoption. So in 2023, this year, it came up with what is called the National Blockchain Policy for the country. And what's that all about? This is simply the vision. How do we make Nigeria a blockchain-powered economy? One that can drive trust, innovation, growth, and prosperity for all. That's really the vision of the federal government under the former president, Muhammadu Buhari. Does that vision make sense? Does it make sense for Nigeria to be a blockchain-powered economy? Can we become a blockchain-powered economy? Is it possible? Is it possible? Let's see how possible that might be. PwC thinks as far back as 2020 that the blockchain sector alone can contribute as much as this, 1.76 trillion globally to the global economy. And Nigeria wants to have some part of that pie. Is it possible? How big can we get from this? Are we already getting it? Or are others getting it from Nigeria? Basically, when you talk about the global economy, you're looking at different sectors, right, across different places. In Nigeria, you'll be looking at a lot of sectors, from the agricultural sector down to the supply chain industry. People or the government imagines that we can leverage those characteristics of the blockchain: transparency, traceability, security, decentralization, all right, to be able to enable services in these sectors to become more efficient, more trust-oriented as well, and then boom. So this is basically the characteristics of the blockchain, that the national blockchain policy of Nigeria is open to be able to galvanize public sector in partnership with private sector to leverage for the purpose of creating that blockchain-powered economy. And this is the presidential mandate that the former president, Muhammadu Buhari, gave. So I'm taking this from here so that we understand that this is already something at the presidential level. And it's a directive to guys like the Central Bank of Nigeria, the Securities and Exchange Commission, the National Universities Commission, the National Information Technology Development Agency, NITDA, and the rest of them. And basically it's saying that we want to strengthen Nigeria's economy. We want to expand. We want to create jobs. We want to do a lot with jobs and all of that. And regulators need to create frameworks that will enable Nigeria leverage this for the purpose of economic growth. So basically, what are those key areas that the National Blockchain Adoption Strategy is looking at, and how does Web3 come in? So first of all, talent development. Second one is innovation. And the third one is adoption. So I'll start from talent development. Eric Hannon was putting it very aptly when he mentioned that while we have all of the growth in terms of population, we may not have the capacity that we need to be able to get the best of the population that Africa, has and will have going into the future. It doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? When you have numbers and they are not functional numbers. Of what use is a country where you have up to about 220 million people and you can't count a whole lot that have the capacity to participate in the digital economy? This is why it is important that talent development is key in the national blockchain policy. And we already see NITDA, trying to organize in collaboration with private sectors such as you guys, a number of trainings, workshops, and certification programs in the area of blockchain. And I think that's the right way to go. Don't you think so? We need more of those trainings. So if you're in Nigeria, whether a local player or a global player looking at the Nigerian market, I would like to encourage you to have some budget for training. We need training in this part of the world. And perhaps while I was president of CBAN, one of the things that I did notice is that blockchain education and awareness is the cheapest way to sell your products in the space. When you sell blockchain awareness and education, you are softly pushing your products out there as well. So I'm trying to say that it's not a charity thing. There's also business in ensuring there is training, there is blockchain awareness out there. Secondly, there's innovation part. And this part is all about the blockchain solutions. What are those solutions? Those layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, and all of those layers that we're supposed to be building. Are we building them? If we're not building them, are we getting into strategic partnerships to bring those things into the country? And also see how we can maximize those. The National Blockchain Adoption Policy is also concerned about the need for startups to have adequate incentives, funding, have access to acceleration programs. Do we have these in Nigeria already? I am aware of some hubs, and this is really, really a very commendable one from some of the participators in the space. We've seen some of these players in the space, companies, I don't mention names here now, invest in having hubs in Lagos and in Port Harcourt. We need more hubs like that, like blockchain development hubs, where developers can get together and do stuff and break legs. We need more of those. And I think that along with blockchain awareness and education, should be just enough infrastructure to be able to have some visibility and presence in your markets. And this is sustainable growth, actually, not like you want to get in today, get people create wallets on your platform, and then you're off tomorrow. It has to be sustainable. And of course, in terms of use cases, the government wants to ensure that there are actually sustainable use cases, real use cases for blockchain technology in Nigeria. I am aware that there are many, many use cases, but how many are solid enough to create markets in Nigeria or in Africa? We've seen various use cases as well. I have also seen cases, I've seen monkey heads in the NFT space. I'm not a big fan of that anyway, so I'll sound a bit biased. But I think that just like Eric was saying earlier, blockchain adoption in Nigeria and Africa generally is a need, not a want. So when people chase monkey heads and all that, I think typically the typical African should be looking at something a bit more sustainable, something that has more use case out there. And there's a lot of problems in Nigeria and Africa generally that I imagine that we could focus on. In terms of adoption, this is an interesting one, very interesting, and this has never happened before. For the first time, the Nigerian government has acknowledged that blockchain in financial services will play a huge role. They've gone ahead to acknowledge that financial institutions in Nigeria need to themselves adopt blockchain technology for the purpose of ensuring efficiency and transparency in their system. And not just that. The federal government went ahead to say this: we recognize cryptocurrencies. If you are from CBN here, you might cringe at that, but this is the Nigerian government talking. And this is a national policy document endorsed by the President of the Republic, saying that we recognize cryptocurrencies. And what we are going to do is to ensure that we work with all of the regulators in that space, the CBN, the SEC, NIDA, and the rest of them, to make sure that we leverage the opportunities that cryptocurrencies provide, while also minimizing the risk through AML, anti-money laundering compliance, regulations, and the rest of them. So this is Nigeria now. So when you go online and you Google and they say crypto is illegal in Nigeria, call me. Crypto is not illegal in Nigeria. As a matter of fact, no one, not even the central bank, ever declared crypto illegal. They simply restricted cryptocurrency transactions in Nigerian banking system. Any other thing you do outside the banking system is just fine. But I don't want to go into legal arguments, because I also have an article out there that shows clearly that even the CBN is not in the legal position to declare anything of such illegal. So for Web3 ecosystem, for players in the Web3 ecosystems, what is the expected outcome? Or what are the expected outcomes as far as the national blockchain policy is concerned? One, we should expect that there will be increase in skilled blockchain workforce. We don't have enough workforce in the blockchain space currently, especially when it comes to building layer one protocols or solutions. The most skills we have seen in the Nigerian space has been around the commercial aspects of blockchain technology, which is basically marketing, education, and related aspects, maybe management as well, business development. We've not seen key players pushing workforce regarding development of blockchain solutions. We need to invest in that. So I imagine that Web3 players will be able to leverage the national blockchain adoption policy to drive more collaborations around building skilled workforce, blockchain workforce. Secondly, which is very, very similar to the previous one, is having higher quality of blockchain talents, right? And of course, creation of new jobs. We need jobs. And I've seen the blockchain space create jobs for a lot of people, including undergraduates in Nigerian higher institutions. We need to push that a bit more so that we can bring in more people as our continent continues to grow in terms of population. There will be increased competitiveness, I can assure you. I was at the CBN recently when I was invited to lecture on blockchain policy and regulations at the legal department of the CBN. And one of the conversations that came up was that increasingly we now see foreigners also reach out to the central bank saying that we can build this for you. We can do this with the e-naira. We can do that for you. So there will be increased competition. Since the national blockchain policy was issued, I can tell you for free that we have seen a lot of private sector players come into the Nigerian space and try to pitch one idea or the other around building central bank digital currencies, around building various solutions across various sectors. Sectors like banking, intellectual property, as a matter of fact, land registry management and all that. So if you're a player in a space that cares about building infrastructure, this is the time to leverage the blockchain policy to build even better. Under innovation, as you can see here, there are a number of outcomes expected. We expect that there will be more regulatory sandboxes and there will be more friendly frameworks for regulating blockchain and cryptocurrencies in the country. I think it's only a matter of time when the Central Bank of Nigeria will have to review its February 2021 cryptocurrency circular to officially say that we are now ready for business as far as crypto in the banking sector is concerned. In wrapping up, opportunities for Web3 ecosystems in Nigeria. So basically, I think that we can start building products, Web3 products and services that integrates financial services. The government is very key, very interested in that use case in the country. Also, I think that we expect to see more investments in that space. I have seen some, back in my law firm, Infusion Lawyers, I've seen people knock on our doors to ask is this the right time to make investments in Nigeria's blockchain space? I think so. So I think that this is the time to expect investment in this space. If you're a Web3 founder or builder, this is the time to start thinking and building those products, like Eric was saying, so that you can get to attract some investments. Also, this is the time to focus on also having some local blockchain infrastructure. Ethereum is great, Bitcoin is great, and the rest of them. But we also think that in line with Nigeria's national policy on ICT, we might need some kind of local content in that area. That's why I love what guys like, I think Bantu Blockchain is also doing in the country, trying to build something local as well. The national blockchain policy wants something local. And then lastly, this is the time for stakeholder engagements. So don't just do what you do in your labs and other offices. This is the time to reach out, network, engage stakeholders for more, including regulators. The regulators are ever ready right now to speak with anyone about how to drive blockchain adoption in the country. So this is the time to have that conversation. And thankfully, there's a new government in charge. And this new government, I'm aware from what I see, is capitalist oriented. So they want to do business. Lastly, public sector, private sector participation. Partnership. That is very key. There is no way the government is going to do this alone. The government doesn't have the money and resource to be able to drive Web3 adoption. It is you and I in the private sector who can do this better. All we have to do is design programs, get government's participation or partnerships, and they are ever ready to do so. Sometime in October this year, there's going to be the Digital Nigeria Conference, hosted by the government itself. So the government of Nigeria is very ready for business, and this is what the national blockchain policy is all about, to enable innovation, to drive blockchain education, and to empower everyone so that we can all prosper in Nigeria's digital economy. Thank you.